Hello, welcome back to Diary of a Creator. So, if this is your first time here, then welcome. I am Victoria, and this is a channel for those bold and ambitious souls like me who are wanting to redefine success on their own terms. So, you're sick of the monotony, the bullshit of life, and you're wanting more. And this is a channel where you're going to learn how to connect with your inner compass and align with your inner truth, and using and learning as well the natural laws of alchemy to be able to bring to life what is truly meant for you. So, a life of freedom and one that truly lights you up. So, if my content resonates, the channel resonates, then I'd be super grateful for any likes, shares, subscribes to help me to grow this and reach more souls. So, I want to kick off today just by saying Happy New Year. This is the first video of 2025 and the first video that I have done in a while as well. Apologies for that. I have been a bit underground, just really pulling back in order to regroup and recenter and get myself really embodied with where I'm going because there was couple of things that were coming up towards the end of last year, and then I wasn't listening to pause and to stop, and then I got very sick. And this is how our souls like to work sometimes when we don't listen. And so that's kind of where I've been, nowhere specific, just working on me and getting really grounded and embodied with my mission into this year because this year is going to be big and I am back with a bang. And I know that there will be a lot of healers and light workers and all of that doing the same because this is a big year. And I wanted to kick it off with this is it's come from a reflection that I did across the New Year's Eve period. So I went off grid for 5 days. Highly recommend doing that for creation. It just word vomit everywhere. But this is, I just started doing a reflection of the culmination of all of the lessons that I've had across the past few years from coming out of corporate into the soul-led path. And I felt that these are useful to share more as not warning signs. I don't want to um, put you off. But it's an honest reflection of what is required. And if anything you'll get from me, it's always the honest truth. And so this is really the things I wish I had have known before I took the leap, and potentially different ways I would have gone about it as well. But we're here now, and hey ho, but I'm sharing these with you if you are considering that move out of corporate, or you might even not have any idea of what you're here for or your mission, and you're still working that out. This is still for you. If you're about to leave corporate, this is still for you. If you've left corporate, this is still for you. This is really just a whistle-stop shop of everything I wish I knew. Okay, so this isn't a little bit of a different format because I came out with really 12 lessons and I'm going to walk through them. And I want to premise it by saying that the reflection came about because let's just say it was a lot harder than I thought it would be. And the biggest reason why it was harder than I thought it would be was because I underestimated the stickiness and the grip hold that your ego and your fear can have on you. And this is what ultimately makes it hard. If you think of like your soul journey being, flow and you're wanting to pull in, your ego is going to dig its heels in the sand. And that's what causes this frustration. It's like, you're just like, no, I don't want to go. And it just kind of sticks there. But equally, this is the journey as well. So, a big core part of stepping into a space where we begin to follow the heart, we begin to listen and understand our inner compass, and we start to follow it. We haven't ever done that before. And so naturally, there are going to be lessons, particularly, I dare I say, the older we get, because we do get more stuck in our patterns. But we really need to come out of our patterns to completely rejig into a different way of operating. If you are in corporate or from or coming out, there is a specific mindset that gets drilled into us. It's even from school, really, to be honest. It's that mindset, and it's tricky. I'm still moving through it. I'm still releasing its grip on me as I go through. One of like the lessons was that as I stopped recording or basically went off grid for a couple of months, it was because I kept having this corporate mindset show up in the business, and I was getting told and told and told and told and told this isn't going to work. And lo and behold, it didn't work. And then I still wasn't listening. And then I got sick. It's like, you need to stop. And so that's exactly what I did. And through that cocoon, there's been many, many lessons, which is why I say I've got word vomit. And I will be showing up here often because I have a lot to say now. So I want to start with the 12. So, number one, be prepared for uncertainty. Now, I originally wrote this as instability, and this is kind of twofold, where you are stepping out into something you've never done before. There is naturally going to be uncertainty. Equally, through uncertainty, it can feel like instability. Because if you think of corporate and the stable paycheck that you have, particularly around this factor, you never really have to think about that. There's just kind of sitting there. Now, what you're doing when you go into a new path is, in essence, initially it can feel like all of your foundations of safety are gone. And they are, because they need to collapse, because you are coming out of, in essence, finding a false sense of security and certainty in a system to a completely different way of living, which is internally driven certainty, stability, and safety. And planning and forging ahead, as I said when I went underground, planning and forging ahead and forcing and all of these things are not going to work. You can try, you can do what I did, and you can try and you can dig your heels in the sand and be really uncomfortable with not knowing where you're going and try and map it, but it will not work. And so this is the thing to be prepared for the most. And there is definitely work to do of finding it within, particularly within the body, and your ability to hold uncertainty and fear, because fear will come with uncertainty. It can be very, very uncomfortable. And I think just getting really honest with yourself, if you are very uncertainty avoidant, there's the scales of personalities, then you might need to go a bit slower. If you're really, I'm quite risk averse. I just drop in, and it even got me at points. And I wouldn't have thought that it would, which was probably why I put this right up the front. This is a big one. So be compassionate with your nervous system on this and don't freak it out too much. Number two, and this one is probably the one that will cause potentially the most pain. Not everyone will support you. And you'll be surprised because it's not always the people who you necessarily think, but it is the reality. And where, particularly around family, and this one can be a tricky one, and this is one I've been unwinding as well, where they fear the unknown, and you're moving into the unknown, and they see your cushy corporate career that you had before, which looked like all of your peers. And if all of your peers have got that and you're shifting this way, naturally you're not going to get the support from all of them. One, because they can't really understand the journey that you're going on, but it's going to be reflected to you in different ways. The hardest one to deal with is the criticism and also the unconscious envy that people will have of your courage, because when you take a step out, you're choosing a path of freedom. You've got more freedom, or you're choosing more freedom, which takes a shitload of courage. You trigger people. You trigger people that have it within themselves, and they will say nasty shit. Like I've had, just shit. And this is a thing. It's a thing that's not necessarily talked about, even just generally going on a healing journey and changing, where not everyone's going to support you. Some people are going to cheer you on. Others are going to stay dead quiet and just continue to talk about themselves. Others are actually going to criticize you, encourage you to turn back, all of these different things. Like, do you really have a cat? Well, I hope it works out for you. They're only saying that because within them, they have so much fear around what you're doing that they couldn't even possibly imagine that it's possible. It's got nothing to do with you. But it is hard. It's one of, I'd say, the hardest, most unexpected things. And it'll be in one of my other points as well, where you need to find people that are moving in the same direction as you, because those that are not actually going to be able to support you. And that is just the reality. It's just a different path. They don't understand it. Third, be humble and don't be naive. I wrote this one for me because I was naive. I am a much more inclined to be a bigger picture dreamer of possibilities and not really thinking through a lot of the practical. I dare I say I probably left corporate slightly too early just because I was in this bucket. I'm done. I'm leaving. And, I'm going into my purpose. The universe is going to support me. It's just going to be so easy because I'm in service. I wasn't in service. I was actually still very much an ego, which is why it didn't really work. And I've had to go through the school of hard knocks and slaps in the face for the past 2 years, to really come into being humble. And the analogy I use is you would not expect to walk into a corporate office as a junior and be treated and get the same salary and benefits as the CEO. And you're not going to in this case. So I guess that's just the thing is it takes time. You are still a beginner. You are still a learner. It's very common in Bali for people to do their, life coaching certificates and have like one ayahuasca experience and think that they know everything about spirituality. And I will say that ego is quite natural because I definitely had it a little bit. And that's okay. It's part of the journey where you start to learn all of this new stuff and then you're like, oh, I've got all this knowledge versus other people. Yeah, you're going to need to come down a notch on that and just, yeah, don't be naive. It's a pathway and it's going to take time. You're not going to walk in and everything is working handed to you. You are going to have a series of failures and rejections and judgments that you're going to need to pass through to build your resilience into this path. Sorry for the bad news. Um, Number 4, not everyone offering help will be helpful. This is a lesson on discernment because there is so many people out there that can help you, business coaches. Like I daily get them in my feed and all of this. You could be learning and learning and learning for the rest of your life if you continue to listen to all of these sources because they all help you. And a lot of them will tell you that this is the only way to do this. That's bullshit. Just run. This is where I got to because I've made quite a few wrong investments. And in hindsight, I knew in my gut, I knew that they were wrong. I felt it, but I pushed past it. The reason I pushed past it and watched this is I had deemed in whatever area it was, so mainly for me, it was business, that I didn't know anything. And oh, they know something, and oh, look what they've done, and they've got that. That doesn't mean they can help you because their business structure, their vision, it might be completely different to what you're doing. The only true way to discern who can help you and who not is one, look at where they're going, what they've done. Is it aligned with you? But you got to listen to your gut. The few programs I've ended up in, which have been truly life changing, I was sitting in their free training because a lot of them will do that. And I was like, I need to know more. I've got to know more. And it was a full body lean in. The ones where I made the wrong decision, I never got that. I was always in my head of like back and forth, back and forth. And you might be back and forth because some of these are very high investments. But generally speaking, if your energy is like, I need to know more, so that's a good sign. Number 5, you are the foundation. So fix it first. If you don't, you're not going to get far. And this is probably the point I was the most naive on, actually. Even though I'm in a personal development category and I thought I'd done, all my personal development for the rest of my life. That's bullshit. But I hadn't factored in that the first stage of this is all belief work. It is all about you because you are going to get faced with your deepest fears, pains. All of these things are going to confront you. If you don't work on that layer or know that that's what you need to do, so even if you were to proportion your day or your time, or if you haven't even started yet, just start with this. It's working on your foundation. And this goes into that point around uncertainty too, because your foundation is what's going to hold you through this, because you will have to come up against your fears. That's it. If you have a shaky foundation and a shaky belief set, you'll just run. And you'll think it's because it didn't work out. And you'll think that, oh, it just didn't work, it's unaligned. It's not actually. It's your shaky beliefs around what's possible for you, if you're good enough, capable enough, all of this. And I learned this really the hard way about a year ago with a program launch, which flopped. It didn't actually flop, but in my head it had flopped. I'm like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I'm not cut out. I went hiatus for a little while. That was not the launch. It was a learning experience. It was my beliefs. And my beliefs very nearly turned me away. But the thing with that and the muffly beliefs is you can't hear, let alone follow, your own inner compass if it is muffled out by fear and doubt. It will totally cut you off from it, and you really just won't get very far. So if there's anything to do initially, it's that. Number 6, which goes to the point that I was saying at the beginning. If it starts feeling like corporate, you need to pause. So this is for those that may already be moving in, or you might even be studying something. I got to the point with probably last year where what I was doing just started to feel just as shite as being in corporate, because it was hustle and overwork and stress and just really like trying to force everything and overworking. And at this point, I thought I'd made a mistake, which is why I was saying be careful of the shaky beliefs. And I was about to walk away. I was like, nah, this isn't it. But what had really happened is it wasn't my vision that was wrong or where I'm going was wrong. It was how I was doing it, which was creating this blur. And I took a step back to work on the mission and what I'm actually truly here for. And it was all what it was, is just the way I was going about it. And this is the thing to remember, a soul-led path is not meant to feel like a grind. There's a lot of inner work to do, but it's not like working 40 hours a week, blah, 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 churn. I mean, sometimes you are going to probably hustle, but if you are always hustling and you start to feel the same things, aka burnout, overwhelm, all of these all the time, just pause. It's your corporate mindset has crept into your soul path and you need to get it out, and you need to take a pause and work on that mindset. Number 7, very similar. If you're pushing too hard, just stop. And this is what I've had to do. If it starts feeling like you are pushing a big boulder up a hill, then just take it as a lesson that what you are doing is not working. It's not that the path is wrong. It's just whatever you are doing, it's not working. Because the soul-led path is about flow, not force. And I want to distinct on this, because flow is not ease, it is momentum. And if you're not getting momentum, so with every action, you're not seeing another opportunity open up or a connection or something, there's something that's kind of telling you that it's like leading this way, then it's not flow. If you're forcing and you almost keep coming up against really nothing, you're just like treading, you're not going, you're either not going the right way or you're doing it in the wrong way. So yeah, don't confuse flow with ease, because it's momentum. The thing that is ease, or the flow, is still going to ask you to step into challenges and fears. It's just that when you do that, it's not going to feel like this brick wall. It feels like when you step into a challenge or a fear, you're kind of like edging and you're like, you know, it's momentum, it's growth. And this has been one for me, which is linked into the corporate mindset where this was me. I was just like, what? I don't even know what to do. And the biggest realization is that way of working will not work in this. It just won't. You can try all you fucking want, but you are literally wasting your energy. That is all you were doing. Like, that's a hard one for me because they teach you that going and doing all of that is, you'll achieve. And you need to work hard, but if it's not aligned, stop. Number 8, shit takes time. Find a way to pay the bills. I kind of did this because I went back to part-time for a little while and then I completely launched and jumped a year ago. And I thought I would be okay. And there was a period where I really was not. And I think the lesson here for me is that practical piece and also understanding your level of ability in your body to hold uncertainty and almost be in this space where you paycheck to paycheck. It's like you can't see it before it comes type of thing. So know yourself on this and just be a bit practical because when you start to bring in financial fear onto this path, it restricts it. And also, this is probably the thing that will make you run quicker than anything because this is one of the biggest blocks for people to even come in and try. And the other reality is, yes, you will have a pay cut. Like I cut my salary, I cut 120K off my salary last year. It's, I mean, I kind of flopped. So I was still in my, deep in my pity party for quite a portion of the year until I really have gone underground and I kicked off and go, okay, but just be mindful. You will have a jump. You will have to come down. There are going to be some sacrifices to make this work, but also find practical ways that they still give you the space. So I'm not talking about staying in 9 to 5, that you work all this and you're very high pressured because you'll find that you won't ever find time to create the space for this. And also just knowing it's kind of gradual. So you're like 9 to 5 part-time, easy part-time, until eventually it floats off and you're okay. Number 9, you will want to quit, but don't. This will happen multiple times. I've lost count with how many times I've wanted to quit. And the biggest one was back when that launch happened, and I very, very nearly went back, but something within my soul told me no. Listen to that voice, because what we need to distinguish here is if we're trying to leave a path because it's genuinely unaligned or it's fear. Now, if you have been or looking into pursuing the soul-led path and you already maybe have an idea of what that is, chances are that's come from your heart. You might have certain shifts and molds with how you do it. That certainly happened with me. But largely speaking, your heart is guiding you on the path, and it will be the fear that makes you want to quit. Don't let it. This is the thing that our ego will do as well, and it's a tricky one. When we start to come up against the fear and the unknown, our ego has a way of poisoning us against our own dreams. And it will happen. You will convince yourself, I didn't really want it in the first place. This is false. This is your fear. Don't listen. Don't let it take over, but know that this will come. You will want to quit. You will face rejection. You will be judged. All of this is going to come at you. And I want to prepare you because it will. And you are going to want to quit. Just allow that soul inner voice to be louder. So find a way to get back in touch with it. Don't make any hasty decisions in the fear. Just let it, however it comes to you. I have massive pity parties and question why the universe doesn't make things easier for me. That's my one. But when I'm in the thick of that, I kind of allow that. And then when I'm out, then I make decisions. Number 10, inaction can be just as productive as action. And this is a lesson again in to do with force, but specifically if your action is unaligned, you're not going to get anywhere. You are wasting your time. You may as well just go sit on the beach and wait for aligned action. Now, that is a hard one for an ambitious corporate brain to get your head around, but it's not your head that needs to get around it, it's your heart. Because it really is a waste of time. You are quite literally just churning, thinking that you've got to work, and there's this mindset where it's like hard work equals progress. That's not always true because if you think of half the shit you do in corporate, like I don't know how many job cards we blew from overworking and doing all this silly stuff that's really losing sight of the end goal and what we're really working towards. And so that is it. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. And that's what I've had to do, I've been told, because you really need to wait for your clarity and for your inner compass to actually guide you on where is next. And Teal Swan does a good reel on this. She said those that are successful in the end are the ones that hold back and wait for the alignment. And the ones that run forward, they might feel like they're ahead, but the moment you get that alignment, you propel straight. And that is, yeah, the truth. I haven't experienced that yet, but I am about to because I've been guided to do the inaction. Number 11, if there's anything, trust your inner compass. It's never wrong. So that discernment piece, all of it, knowing what your heart wants. And this is really your inner work is just, if not the most important part of this, and tuning in with your inner compass, not other people's. Other people cannot map your journey. They cannot. They might have strategies and structures that have worked for them. If that strategy and structure is different to the way that you are going and gearing, then it's not going to work. Your inner compass is the only thing you should truly, truly listen to, because if you need to pull in resources, support, learnings, lessons, it will get you there. It will tell you where you need to go. It's not that you cast yourself off from listening to people altogether. It's just you listen to the right people, and your own inner compass will guide you to those people. And it always will, and you will know it. There is a feeling. It is your guide. Just trust it. If you don't trust it now, that's where you need to be working, is trusting your ability to hear it and to listen. And I'm actually going to do a video on that because it's key and it can be quite confusing between deciphering all of the voices in our heads, because there's a lot. Number 12, which is the last one, don't go it alone. Find your tribe or find that person that you resonate with. So again, the discernment is key. If you feel inspired by the person, there's something in their energy that you draw into, just whoever your inner compass draws you to, go that way, but you will need support. Why? Because the ego can get really, really, really loud on this journey. And if we don't have people to pull us out of the thick of it when we're in it, we will walk away. So, as I said, when I had that crash about a year ago and I nearly went back to corporate, the only thing that really kind of stopped was I joined a intuition circle as part of, I study William Whitecloud's Natural Success. And it's an intuition circle, and it's all about holding people in their greatness. If I didn't join that circle, I'm really not sure what would have happened, because at that point in time, I needed other people to hold me in my own. I had gone so far down into my shithole that I needed that. And you will too. Everyone does. I am a very independent learner, all of that, but even I need it. And that's just the reality. So those are really the 12. I don't mean them to be like heavy hitting, and I know that they are, but equally, the reality of this journey is it's full of light and dark, and you can only get to the light through the dark. It's really the only way, because unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because this is obviously the design of whatever experience we choose to, because no one's exempt, is all of our ego and our fear and our limitations are in this shadow. If you don't bring them to light, they're going to continue to operate and control your journey. So you might think that your compass is going here. I'm like, I'm going here. If you're not aware of the shadow aspects of yourself and the fears and the underlying beliefs and the patterns that are running in the background and you don't even know, your compass will just shift here and you're working your way this way and you get to the end, you're like, well, hang on, I didn't actually get what I wanted. Yeah, because the shadow is controlling your compass. And so this is why awareness is key. And also just knowing that these things are going to come, because this is just the journey, really. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that was a big bang for 2025. And I hope to see more of you taking this journey. As I say, like this is the big heavy hitting stuff, but this is not all of it because on the other side is the light and the expansion and the growth. And you will never, ever be so proud of yourself. And you will never, ever understand yourself in such a way as taking this journey. And you will never be as free either, because the moment you move through these lessons and these challenges, they start to shift out. Yes, they'll continue to come. I'm still challenged a lot, but I have tools and strategies and awareness where I don't stick in it that long. It doesn't derail me. I'm like, yep, cool. We're going to spend, I don't know, maybe a day here and then, no, come back. Yep, we'll go this way. No, come back. If you can't do that, you're just going to be going all this way in your life. And then you'll get to the end of your life. You'll be like, what did I even do with it? I was just guided by fear and I didn't even know it. So it's a beautiful journey, but not an easy one.